With Halloween coming up in a couple months, I wanted to start the Halloween season off right with a history lesson. I know what you're thinking, man, this is going to be boring, or you almost didn't even click on the video, but since you did, thank you, I really appreciate it. I'm going to try to put my own spin on this history retelling to make it interesting for you and for you guys to learn something because the history of Halloween is very fascinating. It didn't always start out with skeletons, witches, or pumpkins. But actually, it started with the Celts in modern-day Ireland, France, and the UK with a festival. This festival was called Samhain. This festival was celebrated on October 31st, the current day for Halloween, to November 1st. This festival signified the end of the summer harvest and the start of a cold, dark winter. This was also associated with human death and was believed that the line between the living and the deceased was blurred and the ghosts of the dead would return to the earth, kind of like Dia de los Muertos. These spirits would help out the Celtic druids or priests to look into the future and see what winter they had in store. At these festivals, large bonfires were lit to sacrifice animals and to burn crops to satisfy the spirits. Costumes were also worn at these bonfires by wearing animal skins and heads as they told each other their fortunes. These bonfires were then extinguished and then relit to help protect the Celts from winter that is approaching them. In 43 AD, the Roman conquered most of the Celtic territory, and because of this, the Roman equivalent was celebrated on October, Feralia, which is the festival to commemorate the dead. On May 13, 609 AD, Pope Boniface IV dedicated the Pantheon, which is one of the best preserved monuments in Rome, to the Christian martyrs and created All Martyrs' Day, which was expanded by Pope Gregory III to make the festival of All Martyrs' Day last from May 13th to November 1st. This influence of Christianity spread in the 9th century and wanted to blend their ideas with Samhain, but quote-unquote to make it better and to replace what they thought of Samhain as a pagan festival. The church even tried to create a holiday on November 2nd called All Souls' Day to honor the dead and to replace the festival of Samhain with a church-sanctioned holiday. Like Samhain, on All Souls' Day, people would create large bonfires, have parades, and even dress up, but instead of using animal skins and heads, they dressed up as characters like saints, angels, and even the devil himself. Another holiday that was created on November 1st was All Saints' Day. Geez, all of these names for holidays starting with all. That's like saying All Valentine's Day or All New Year's Day. Anyway, sorry. This holiday was also called All Hallows, and the night before it was called All Hallows Eve, eventually to Halloween. Halloween made its way over to the United States, or at the time called colonial New England, but was heavily limited due to the Protestant beliefs and the systems of the New Americans. Southern colonies started the festivities of Halloween like Maryland, but had a mixture of many European as well as Native American traditions to create Halloween customs. The first quote-unquote Halloween had these parties called play parties, where the guests of the party would dance, sing, and even tell each other stories about ghosts and their future fortunes. Sounds familiar. They even had by playing tricks on each other. In the middle of the 1800s, Halloween wasn't officially being celebrated, but rather they were autumn festivals about the harvest and the changing of the season. But this was changed when the newer European immigrants arrived to bring their customs and belief to the people of America. A huge example of this was in the 19th century, when many Irish immigrants came to America as a result of the potato famine. As they came to America, they spread and popularized the idea of Halloween and its traditions that we still see today. Because of the spread of Halloween, many people were fearful of sinful activities like witchcraft and ghosts and tried to take the spooky out of it. Neighborhoods held meetings to try to find ways to deteriorate the sinful activities as well as the pranks, so a solution they came up with was to host parties at a civic or community center for the whole neighborhood to attend. These festivals and parties would have food popular for the season, dancing, and everyone would dress up in festive costumes. In hopes of driving the scary stuff and vandalism away, these parties were targeted towards the youth, and they were there to make sure that the parents were watching the kids. But the tricks and vandalism still continued. Between the 1920s and the 1950s, many parents would actually try to reduce the amount of tricks being performed by using old European tradition of trick-or-treating. Parents would give treats to kids to stop them from causing a ruckus in the neighborhood, and this tradition stayed in many communities and is still a tradition we follow today. In the 1950s, following the baby boom, parties moved from civic centers and community centers to being in homes and schools because of the vast amount of children, to make it easier to watch over those kids. And from here on out, Halloween continued to stay Halloween in the United States, losing many of its religious and superstitious undertones, and just allows us to have fun and dress up. In 2019 alone, 172 million Americans celebrate Halloween, and the total spending was around $8.8 billion. Many people today on Halloween will trick-or-treat, attend Halloween costume parties, hand out candy to small kids, or even go on some scary adventure. And now that Halloween is right here, embrace this season and just have fun. I hope you enjoyed this little history lesson, and I will talk to you guys later. Take care.